Hello and welcome to our snoofer tutorial. This tutorial will show you the post-sale admin processes and actions that need to be completed when a sale has ended, and we'll start with the invoice questionnaire. So sale has ended and we do most of the post-sale tasks in cashiers. So we go to the cashiers and then we'll start with invoices. So we can generate all the invoices after the auction. We have 3 separate winners with 3 separate invoices. Invoicing after an auction can be a very labour intensive process. So at Snoofer we have made this much easier. Clients will often get in touch to request amendments to their invoice for different reasons, VAT changes, shipping changes, etc. And the back and forth required to make these changes adds up to a lot of extra work for the auction house admin team. So Snoofer has a very elegant solution to make this process a lot smoother, save staff time and give clients more ownership, and it's called the Invoice Questionnaire. The idea behind the questionnaire is to require buyers to fill in a set of questions before they can see their invoice. Whatever they fill out informs the final invoice and means they don't spend time making edits afterwards. So the invoice questionnaires are sent from here. So they've all been sent. Can also be sent individually using the drop down. We can also keep track of which have been sent and which have been answered in the queue sent and the queue answered columns. The questionnaire can be seen in the client zone. The client goes to Invoices and then Questionnaire. Then they can choose which shipping option, shipping or collection. They can choose a payment option. And they can type in any notes that they want the admin to see. In the details section, this will now tell the client that their invoice is waiting for approval and will contain all the information that they sent over on the questionnaire. Questionnaire is optional. You can switch it on and off in the system settings. So this is now what the admin sees in the invoice parameters. So there was the client's questionnaire was answered, the chosen payment method, and the pickup option is here too, and then any client's comments. Now if you send the invoice, now what the client sees in the client zone is that the invoice is waiting for payment, and they can submit the payment here because they chose the online payment option. They can click on the PDF and get a full PDF printout of their invoice. These headers and footers and these last blocks are customized in system settings in appearance and then paperwork. So that covers invoice questionnaires, and as I mentioned, it can be switched off in system settings, in general, and then we scroll down to invoice settings and toggle on or off as you wish. We'll now go and look at generating invoices in more detail. We come to the cashiers again and go to Invoices and then generate all invoices. Invoices are now being generated. And we have 5 invoices. There are currently 5 winners in this sale that's in progress at the moment. So the invoices now appear in the list of bidders as PDFs. So this bidder has bought 2 lots. It shows the short description, the hammer price, buyer's commission, and the VAT on the buyer's commission. So this is the buyer's premium charge on the auctioneer's margin scheme, and then the totals, and then any payment information details and notices that you want to apply in the system settings. If you want to add any other charges, you can go and do that individually. So we go back to edit this invoice and we can add CITES, the LDL, which is the insurance, and shipping charges. So shipping hasn't been selected as an option for this sale, so that won't show. Even if you do select it, it won't show on the invoice. So now we update that invoice. If we now select it, these other charges have now been applied. We can individually send the invoice by email. We can add a payment. If somebody's come to the auction room to pay, or on the telephone. And this will now show as the invoice being sent and by email, and that the invoice has been paid. And again, you can select individual invoices and send them from the drop down menu, or mark them as fully paid. It's also useful to know that you can send out payment reminders. If someone hasn't paid after their due date, and we do that in System Settings, General, and then if we go to Invoice Settings, and then it's just a matter of changing these to a certain amount of days after the due date, so maybe 2 days after the due date, say 4 days and 7 days. So a total of 3 reminders can be sent out to chivvy the bidder along to paying their invoice. You can also download a CSV export of the list of invoices and the payments for your records. When an invoice has been paid, it will show in Invoice View as paid and when it was paid, and on the invoice it will say this invoice has been paid in full in green at the top of the invoice. It will have the payment date, the payment method and the amount. We're now going to move on to collections. I'm going to show you how to generate collection receipts for both sold and unsold items after an auction. These documents can then be signed when items are collected in person by the purchaser or the vendor, or by their shippers. It's a useful document for porters when looking for the items being collected, and provides a useful record on the system of collected items that are no longer on your premises. First of all, we go to the auction. Once again, we go to cashiers and collections, and we'll see this message: there are no collected items just yet. So we're going to create collection from invoice, and under action we can now select set as collected, and this form will appear and it says you're about to mark 11 items as collected, and then it says please note that these items have not been paid for yet, so it will warn you if items haven't been paid for. It doesn't stop you from setting them as collected, but it is a warning notice. So we select a collection method, either in person or by the shipper. We can put the collector's name or the shipper's name here. Any collector info here will appear on the collection receipt PDF. We can add these notes, they're optional. A title, we can add tags and more text here, and then click collect. If we then click collections, we can now view the PDF collection receipt. So here's the note, the receipt number, the collection date, and these can be signed by the admin and by the person who's collecting those lots. so you can use this as a receipt. Don't forget you can also use the filter to select the winning bidder before selecting them for collection. So if you know their paddle number, makes things a lot easier if you have many bidders. And now if you want to create collections from items, we then generate add from items. So if a vendor's looking to collect an unsold lot, you would use collect by items. So we'd go to the unsold lot and again in action set as collected. Fill in the online form. Again the collector info is seen on the PDF receipt. And then if we go to collections to find this receipt, it will say here RTO, which is return to owner, and once again you can get the signature of the person collecting the lot and the person who is the admin. In actions you can cancel the items collection, useful if you've generated in error. You can also select miscellaneous items for collection. Perhaps there's one shipper who's collecting on behalf of many clients, and then you would choose from the drop down set as collected and execute. Once again, if they haven't been paid for, it will flag up this alert, but it will not stop you from creating the collection note. When items have been collected, in the invoice view you'll see there's a notice to show that they've been collected. And that's the end of this post-sale admin tutorial part 1. I hope it was useful, and as always, thank you for watching.